Thanks for tuning in to Ascension 17 with Cynthia Clark, love and ascension coach, author, and healer. This show is to empower starseeds to ascend and become their infinite light. We'll be discussing all sorts of spiritual topics for your vibrational nourishment. This podcast is sponsored by Ascension17.com, the place to find ascension tools and community. Hello, beautiful beings of light, and welcome to the show. I'm Cynthia Clark, and as always, I am excited to be here. And today we are going to be talking about what it is that you should be doing in your daily life in order to raise your vibration. So we are on the pathway of ascension. I've been talking about this now for a while, so go back to some previous episodes in case you missed them. And what that means is that we need to start focusing our lives in a different way than we've been maybe doing in the past. So today, I know you are probably a very busy person, and I am also a very busy person. So I want to really just go through what are the very bare minimum things that you can be doing that actually don't take a lot of time. And you can probably do most of these things in less than 10 minutes a day. So if you can start to just tweak a few things in your life, you will find that little changes can turn into really big changes. So I'm going to take you through my personal routine because that's how I operate, obviously. And I want to show you that it can actually be really fun as well. So first off, okay, in the morning, I'm a total coffee person. I ran a restaurant for 7 years, and before that, I worked for the Starbucks at the Salt Lake International Airport, and I just love coffee. So every morning, I roast my own beans, and I brew my coffee and my French press, and I have some really delicious coffee every morning. And while I am drinking my delicious coffee, which I know a lot of you like coffee, but if you don't like coffee, feel free to have tea or, your beverage of choice in the morning. Maybe you like orange juice or whatever. But what I want you to do is just pull a card of the day. Okay, now I personally have approximately 50 decks of tarot and oracle cards, and I like to rotate my decks, and I usually pull out about 10 different decks. So for me, this obviously takes much longer than 5 minutes. So we're going to do the shortened down version for you guys. And the shortened down version is we get one deck and we do one card of the day. And so now I do like to use, I like my Golden Tarot deck. I like my Voyager Tarot deck. But if you don't know how to read tarot, maybe you're intimidated by it, or, maybe it's just you don't have time to learn. That's also okay, because there's a lot of decks out there that you literally don't need to know anything in advance. You can read the book and it'll tell you exactly what you need to know. So today I also brought along postcards from Spirit. This is Colette Baron Reed. She has a lot of decks, and I really like her work. So this one is really cool because it's just like a little love letter to yourself. So you can start the day with a card of the day. And the reason why we do that is because it starts to set our intention for the day. So a lot of times, and I definitely do not recommend this. A lot of people get up in the morning and they turn on the news, heaven forbid. If you do that, that is going to set a negative tone for your day, and it is not going to create a raising of any vibrations. It's going to keep you stuck in the low vibrational energy of the doom and gloom and the chaos. And it's always bad news. I highly recommend, if you're going to watch news, do it not in the morning and not at night, but somewhere in the middle of the day. Because the reason is, your brain, how it operates is that when you're coming out of sleep, you're still kind of in that subconscious state. So your brain is actually very malleable and very programmable at that time. So if you start feeding it negativity right when you wake up, what kind of life are you going to create for yourself? You're going to create a lot of frustration, anger. You're probably going to be, pissed off at all of the bad news. These things are they're terrible for you. Okay. So you got to cut that out if that's what you're doing. And I recommend, wait until later in the day when you're more in your alpha brain state, more of your awake brain state, where you can handle some of that information without it actually getting seeping into your subconscious, because we don't want that. And if you watch too much news, that's also going to happen. So, I actually recommend staying away from a lot of TV, just because a lot of it is just negative. Okay. So in the morning, when you wake up, you're open to something and you want to bring in something positive. So I'm going to pull a card for you today, and let's just see how this would play out. Okay. So if this were my morning, what would I do with the information? So I'm going to actually pull from my golden tarot deck today, and I'm going to pull you a postcard from Spirit, just so you can see what it's like. And I'm actually not recording this in the morning right now. It's actually pretty late in the day because I'm also pretty darn busy. And I actually had a beautiful day skiing, and I was out in the fresh air. So I love that. Okay, so let's see, what message are we going to be working with today? And the Two of Cups. Okay, the Two of Cups is the card of the day. Okay, now this is an emotional card because it's the Suit of Cups. Cups represent emotions. And you can see in this picture, hopefully I'll hold it up to you so that you can see. We have a man and a woman, and they are chinking glasses together, and they're just very happy. They're like celebrating being together. So this is a card of coming together, and it really represents relationships and relationship harmony. So what I want you to do is think about your most important relationship in your life, and think about it right now. And I want you to set that intention right now that this relationship is getting better and better all the time. Okay, so whoever that person is, you can insert that person's name, and you can say, my relationship with, and then whoever it is that you want to include in this intention is getting better and better all the time. And that is the first part of setting our day. And we can also bring in a crystal. I use crystals all the time. And I just brought in my clear quartz crystal. These are programmable. All crystals actually are programmable. Certain crystals are good for certain things. Clear quartz is one of those crystals that you can actually program just about anything into it. Okay, so if you grab your crystal and you hold it and you tell it, okay, you can talk to your crystals. You can say, please ascend to your highest vibrational capacity. And then you can program it, help me to have this beautiful relationship with, and then whoever it is that you're thinking about for the card, the Two of Cups. And then what I want you to do is just put it down next to you. If it's a pointed crystal, have it pointing towards you. Okay, so all of this is while we're having our coffee and really just chilling, right? Um, so that's step one. But doesn't it, just bring in a nice happy feeling because you're suddenly thinking about something positive? And if that relationship is not the most harmonious, the Two of Cups is saying that it can be. It's showing you the possibility of what can occur in your life. And all it takes is a little bit of effort. Okay, this wasn't too difficult, was it? I don't think so. I kind of think it's fun. So, okay, let's pull a postcard from Spirit Card next. And this will be another message for you. And, like I said, oracle cards, they work just as well as tarot cards. You can order them online or go to any crystal shop, and they have usually tons of decks. And I created a deck too back in 2012 that relates to palmistry, because that, of course, is my one of my specialties. And that's also a beautiful deck. Okay, so here is our postcard. Okay, so I like how it's also really cute. It actually looks like a postcard, like it's being mailed to you. Okay, and here's what it says. Dearest you, we need you to know that you can change things miraculously for you and everyone and make things right. It's never too late. Forgiveness is about releasing yourself from the burden of an old story, one in which you were a victim of someone else's actions or your own. You don't need to carry this around. You can set yourself free. Even advocating for good because of this experience requires your forgiveness to be effective. Forgiveness is never about condoning things that were done. It's about letting yourself off the hook from carrying the burden. Resentment and hurt are like viruses that spread to others. And that is the opposite of what you really desire, right? Imagine what your life would be like without the burdens that you carry when you do not forgive. You can do it. Everyone over here believes in you and adores you. So this is another beautiful message, because it really does point out that, again, it's interesting how a lot of times the cards, if you pull more than one, they can relate back to each other. So yeah, maybe there's something about a person that you don't get along with, and maybe you had a fight with them. And if you hold on to that resentment and that judgment, that is going to keep your vibration lower. So what you need to do is forgive. And it doesn't mean, that you're condoning behavior or that you agree with what happened or anything like that. It doesn't have anything to do with that. It is about setting yourself free. Okay, so allowing forgiveness. You don't even have to be the one to forgive. You can just allow it. You can just call in and say, I allow this person to be forgiven. If that makes you, if that works better for you, some people can kind of grasp that a little bit better. This really will help to raise your vibration, because you'll immediately feel a release, and it's going to be amazing. So that is our card of the week. So I hope you enjoyed that. And then I want to talk about what I do next. Okay, so in the morning after I finish my coffee, I like to do a little meditating. Now, I personally like to do 33 minutes because that's a master number, and it's also a creative number. But if you're a busy person, you don't have that much time, right? So you can just set yourself for 5 minutes, set your phone for 5 minutes. And what do you do in those 5 minutes? Well, ideally, you would actually go through what we just did and you would think about that intention that you just set for yourself. So, if it was having that beautiful relationship with somebody, whether it's a friendship or a sibling or a parent or a spouse, like whoever it is, a coworker, a boss, it can be anybody. I want you to think about that relationship being as beautiful and as harmonious as possible. And what you do is you envision that in your mind. So you close your eyes, you think about that person, you think about being with that person, and you think about whatever disagreement, that you've had. I want you just to think about being in harmony with that person. Okay? And you just it's going to immediately relax your shoulders, relax your body. You're going to start breathing more clearly. It's going to be great. Do that for 5 minutes and then you're done, right? Easy. Go on with your day, take your shower, whatever it is you do. But then there's a couple of other things I want you to think about. Okay, so there's something that I call the time suck, right? What is sucking your time during the day that you really should think about maybe pivoting into something more ascension oriented or raising your vibration oriented? So, again, we talked about the news, which I consider incredibly toxic. But there's other things too, right? We're stuck on social media all the time. Like we're constantly checking our phone or we're, those little habits. I want you to pay attention to those little habits. And then I want you to ask yourself, can I reduce this in my life? And instead, let me go back to, hey, that card of the morning. Yeah, that relationship. Okay, yeah, I want to think about how beautiful that relationship is. And that puts you right back into gratitude. It puts you right back into harmony. Uh, just do this a couple of times throughout your day, and you'll see what I mean. And you can even use a word of power. You could use commitment. If it's your spouse, for example, you could just say commitment. And are you committed to actually making that relationship better? Or are you going to hold on to that resentment of whatever they screwed up on the last time? Right? So you got to let these things go. And it really doesn't matter in the big picture. In the big picture and in the view of ascension, it's what's going to matter is, are you a nice person? And do you treat others in a nice way? And ultimately, that is how we raise our vibration. We get into that love energy, right? If you're a Christian, you can just ask, well, what would Jesus do? What would Buddha do? What would Muhammad do? These are the kinds of questions that you could ask. And, I promise you they wouldn't be holding on to anger and resentment, right? They would be loving. So, but it takes just a little bit of effort. And the last thing I want to talk about is, right before bed. This is another real key time because, again, our brain is starting to calm down. Our brain is starting to go back into that subconscious. And we need to pay attention to, okay, maybe I'm going to start dreaming, right? And your dreams are actually messages from your higher self. So I really stress the importance of having a dream journal. Keep it right next to your bed and with a pen. And then I like to do a little invocation, like right before I go to bed. Okay, and I'm going to read it to you. The next time I'm dreaming I want to remember that I'm dreaming. Clear focus, details, no hocus pocus. When I awake, I can recall the tall and the small. Okay, so invocations can be really powerful because you're talking directly to your subconscious. And if you also have a particular problem or question that you're trying to resolve, maybe you're looking at getting a new job, or maybe you're thinking about moving to a different city, write that question in your dream journal and just say, where would be a good place for me to move? Uh, what would be a good job for me to have? It can be very open-ended, and just write it down, whatever's, like right on your mind, and then go to sleep. And then try in the morning again, try to remember exactly what it is that you were dreaming. Write down every single detail without judging it, without interpreting it. Just write it all down. And then after that, you can start to interpret your dream. And that's something I like to add in with my coffee in the morning after I've pulled my card of the day. I like to bring in last night's dream if I remember it. And if I don't, which I don't remember every night, obviously, then maybe I'll go back over some older dreams and see if I'm following them along. But learning to interpret your dreams is actually a really useful skill that I highly recommend. And if you're interested in learning more, that's actually something that we do over at Ascension17.com in my Sphere of Infinite Light membership. So we do all these things, by the way, too. We do tarot, we do palmistry, we do crystals, all those ascension tools. If you want to learn more about them, I've got a ton of different training inside the membership that talks about these things. So thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate you. I value you and your infinite light. And have a beautiful day, and I'll catch you again next week. Thanks for listening to Ascension 17. Please rate, review, and subscribe to show your support. Have a question for Cynthia? Just post a comment. This podcast is sponsored by Ascension17.com, the place that empowers starseeds to ascend and become their infinite light. Want to discover the most important step in ascension and how to take it? Sign up for free at Ascension17.com.